أهلا بكم من جديد، وما زلنا مع جلسات اليوم الثاني من قمة المعرفة. نبدأ الآن الجلسة الرابعة التي تأتي بعنوان السباق نحو المعرفة، مسرعات دبي للمستقبل كنموذج. يتحدث فيها سعادة سعيد الفلاسي، مدير تنفيذي في إدارة منصات المستقبل، والذي يوضح الرؤية المعرفية والمستقبلية لدولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة والتطور المتسارع وقصص نجاح أيضا. أهلا بكم.
السلام عليكم. So I'm trying just to scan the room to see if I should do the presentation in Arabic or in English. So you have the translators. So the slides are in Arabic, but I will do the presentation in English, and we'll do it for approximately 20-25 minutes, and we'll leave 10 minutes to the end for any Q&A. Would that be okay? Okay. I think it's always challenging to start a presentation right before lunch. I'm not quite sure how many people will actually look at the screen or look at the time. So are you guys excited for lunch or no? I heard somebody say Mendy. You said Mendy? Okay. Well, on the screen we have a date. How many of you actually recognize what the date is? Okay. Okay, great. So actually, this is when the country came about. This is when UAE started as a country. And it's really a significant date, because if you look at the back in the days, I think UAE have started in a way that we actually resembled knowledge. Knowledge was quite an important pillar of the way that we grew as a country. We relied on knowledge not only internally, but also externally to help build the country at that time. So we have Rashid Airport, Sheikh Rashid Airport. It was built prior to 1972. But in 1972, His Highness Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed have thought about changing the seaport and actually to start thinking how it actually can prepare us for the future. And at the time, a lot of the companies available in Dubai have suggested that we should grow the airport. His Highness wanted to have the airport ready for the future. This is actually, as a matter of fact, is part of Dubai DNA. So we always looked at the future. We always wanted to be ready by cultivating the right knowledge within the city. So he met a lot of the consultants at the time, and many of them thought about the seaport as a small seaport. You are in the middle of the desert. Why do you want to grow that port? There's not enough trade, as a matter of fact, to grow that port at the time. And most of them have suggested to His Highness that the seaport should actually grow 4 times in 1972. What is the number that you think His Highness approved at the time? How many times the seaport should actually grow? 4x, 2x, 7x, 10x? 30, 14, okay? So as a matter of fact, His Highness at the time have decided to grow the seaport not only from a 4x, but as a matter of fact, to 14x. That's part of the risk taken. That's part of understanding how you can actually impact the future, how you can be ready for the future. Today, Dubai Ports Authority actually runs over 80 seaports around the globe. This is a local knowledge that we actually were able to cultivate from the 70s and allowed us today with enough knowledge to be able to control, manage, and run over 80 seaports around the globe. This is something that definitely we should be proud of. Can you think of any other infrastructure that Dubai has built on from the past, which allowed us to be one of the leading cities in the world today? The streets, right? Smarter cities? Okay. So you can see Al-Bashar, absolutely. So you're saying the humans actually have, and the way that they think actually have also changed in the last 30 years, the way that Dubaians actually think about the future. We look at the airport today. The airport is actually one of the biggest airports in terms of volume of travelers going through the airport. You look at the streets, you look at the infrastructure that Dubai has as a city. This is all did not come from nothing. It's actually part of the DNA of Dubai. It's about the foresight. It's about the planning as well. So this is something that we inherited from the leadership, something that we have in our mind to progress and continue to grow. His Highness has always said that changing the future should be done in a very disruptive way. That 4x wasn't enough, 14x was the way to go. And similar to everything that we do, disruptive change is actually one of the most thing that we do today. It's not the small changes that we do one year over the other. It's not going from version 2.0 to version 2.1. It's actually going from version 2.0 to version 10. This is what is important. This is how we actually can change cities. So the Dubai Future Foundation as an organization here in Dubai, it started with an idea. I'm not quite sure how many of you have visited the global or the government summit that happens every year around February or March. Have any of you have visited the government summit? So we have few people. And if you've been to this event, you will know right away it actually invites over 3,000 different diplomats from around the world to discuss really important topics such as the food security, the impact of artificial intelligence on the society. Along this event, we had a small demo area. It's something that we like to call at the time the Museum of the Future. It was a very small area, maybe double the size of the room that we're sitting in here today. And within this museum, we had many ideas in terms of how we actually we see technology transforming and actually impacting the way that we live. So it has many demos around the topic of artificial intelligence, topics around the robotics. How do we see robotics changing our community? How do we see artificial intelligence change the way that we operate within the city? For 5 years in a row, we received over 15 different visitors. We had many people actually come to the museum with so many new ideas as well. But His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, when he visited the museum, the first thing that came to his mind was, if this is what you tell me the future is going to look like, are we ready for it? Are our government entities actually quite ready to take this technology on board and actually be able to do something with it? So this is the question that was in the back of his mind. And actually, that resulted in the creation of the Dubai Future Foundation. Our vision, obviously, is to be able to create the future and to be part to influence the humanity overall. So our mission is not only in Dubai or UAE, but also to be able to affect humanity overall. And for this, we've launched many different initiatives. Some of the initiatives is about creating ecosystems to allow people to communicate and discuss and engage together. Some of them were very specific about using specific technologies. We have a small video. I remember last time when Bill Gates had a video embedded within his presentation, I remember the computer crashed. So I hope today the computer does not crash. Thank you. So this is a list of all the initiatives that we had. And I understand the theme of the Knowledge Summit today is all about knowledge and about how we can actually cultivate knowledge. We obviously had multiple initiatives this time, and one of them was the Drone Award, and some of them were around the robotics as well. And we really invited many people from across the world to come and apply and to try to solve for things that is happening in the city. And actually, one of the winners were a young couple actually who invented a robot to be able to identify any leaks within the oil pipes that we have across the country. So engaging the young minds to create new ideas and to solve for new ideas is quite actually beneficial to the city as well. And I think many of you have also heard about 10X. 10X initiative have asked multiple government entities to look within and to be able to disrupt the way that they do business. And we work with them very closely to come up with new ideas. Dubai Police have initiated the 10X project is to actually monitor the city without policemen. They wanted to use the drones to be able to see the city from up high and be able to take really important decisions. But coming up with these ideas is also introducing new challenges. I'm not sure how many of you have owned a drone in the past, but it actually requires a lot of batteries. So wireless charging is an important topic. So when we work on this initiative, we understand that there are new technologies that we should explore as well, such as the wireless technology in this case. One of the most important initiatives that we have is the Dubai Future Accelerators. Now, a lot of different people, when they think about the word accelerator, they start thinking about small companies and how we can actually help the small companies to grow. The way that we do things in Dubai is slightly different. The way that we do it is actually the acceleration part is happening to government entities. How we actually can change the way that the government entity can think and the way that they can operate. It's working with the most important people within these organizations to change the mindset as well. For so many years, we've all have engaged with different government entities, and it was very systematic. You go to engage with the government entity, you have some sort of a document, they stamp the document, you walk away. It was very service-oriented. It wasn't really a hub for knowledge. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed have asked us to change all the government entities to really a foresight centers, organizations that start thinking about the future. If you look at most of the countries around the world, in Europe or in the States, the leaders within these markets are actually the private sector. The private sector actually spend a lot of time on research and development and start coming up with new ideas of how they can improve businesses. The government try to tap into some of the services or innovation and try to make it work for them. But here in Dubai, we don't have that big sector in terms of manufacturing and medical usage and all of that. We actually rely on the government entities to start thinking that way, so that become their hub of the research and development. And by launching the Dubai Future Accelerators, actually, we were able to start changing the mindset as well of the government entities. So one of the most important things is really to change the way that we define government entities. We wanted to move away from being just a regularity or a service-oriented government entities into more as a foresight centers. We want them to start thinking about the future more than just looking into what is available today and how we can actually solve some of the challenges that appear today. We need to start thinking forward and be able to solve the challenges for the future as well. The Dubai Future Accelerator looks at three things, really important. The first thing is to be able to test and work with new technologies. Today, if you are a government employee, how many of we have here government employees? Okay. So if I come to you today and I say, I would like to set up a server for my IT department, and I tell you, I have two companies. One of them is Microsoft. The other one is Saeed company. Which one you will go with? You're going to go with Microsoft. You don't trust me. So you will go with the safe bet. You will go with the safe choice, right? But going always with the safe bet or the safe choice does not always equal innovation. Bigger companies look after creating technology that has been proven for so many years. what we try to do within the accelerators is actually to start bringing new technologies for government entities to actually work with and try to change the way that we do. A little bit later in the presentation, I'll give you some of the examples that we had. So changing the mindset is not one of the first things that we do, but also we actually work very closely with the government entities to create those relationships and build on it with the youngsters, with the startups, with the scale-ups. Some of these companies are actually quite agile in the way that they do business. Government entities around the world tend to be slower in changing. So working with the smaller companies and rubbing shoulders with them allows them to actually engage differently, allows them to change the way that they operate as well. And this is also changes the mindset of the government into being more entrepreneurial, rather than just being a government entity. I'm here, I know I'm going to be here for the next 100 years, but no, changing their mindset into actually being more entrepreneurial. So at the time, when we launched the first government accelerator, we had 7 government entities working with us. Today, we've grown into 13 government entities from Dubai working on the program itself. And we've actually got more private companies such as Emirates Airlines, Etisalat, and to work as well with us in the accelerator. And actually, we continue to get certain requests from the federal government entity to be part of the program because they do see the benefit of being part of it. If you take a quick look on the screen and you see the different logos, you will realize right away that each logo presents a sector within the city. So you have the health authority who focuses on health. They're trying to disrupt the way that we do operate health within the city. You will see RTA who focuses on transportation, or the previous presenter have called it mobility. You'll also look into Smart Dubai, which is enabling government entities also and providing new IT solutions to them. So each government entity we have on the screen actually represent a very specific sector. And once we launched the program, we were able to create multiple success stories. We were able to work very closely with RTA and to launching the Hyperloop, something that will connect Dubai to Abu Dhabi. This is something that came by changing the mindset of the city. In the past, RTA will sit in the back and say, once the technology has been proven somewhere else, I'll try to buy it and bring it to Dubai. But the way that we see it here is quite different. The way that we see it here is that RTA is coming along and saying, you know what, I'm going to be part of testing this device, I'm going to be part of pushing this technology, and I want to see how it will work for me. This is what I was talking about earlier, is changing the mindset of a government entity. We worked with a company, again with RTA, on Movement. It's a company that actually is able to help transportation around the city by using artificial intelligence to be able to understand where the crowds are. So today, if you have a number of people who are actually taking the metro, if we know that half of them will actually exit at a very specific metro station, we know now how many cars should be there. So they're tapping into technology to be able to ease the way that they do their business. How many of you have been to the hospital and had to wait for more than 1 or 2 hours? For some reason, it just happens to be on like a Thursday morning or a Sunday morning. Somebody who wants to start the weekend early or somebody who wants to extend their weekend. You're laughing. You've done it before. So being at the hospital today, you see a lot of people actually waiting to see the doctor. One of the things that you ask yourself as a health department, what should I do to ease the process, to provide the better customer service to the patients who are coming to the hospital? Should I go and hire more doctors to be able to serve as many people coming or walking through these doors? Or should I go and build more hospitals to be able to accommodate? And the way that they thought about it is, if I actually can help them with their preventive, if I can enhance their knowledge about their health condition today, if I can help them with understanding their health condition and work on the preventive medicine right before they come and see me. They've understood that 70% of the people who are actually at the clinic, they came for a random checkup. I'm going to come today to the clinic to check my health, my blood pressure, my sugar level. We don't need that many people to come every day to the clinic to take off the space or the seats of people who require medical attention. So the health authority have worked with a company who actually was established in Dubai. It's called Podio, to create devices that actually will help you understand your health condition today. Once you go into this pod that they've created, you'll know right away all about your vital signs. How am I doing on my blood pressure? How am I doing on my sugar level? This device is connected to an AI doctor back at the health authority. So they are able to track you as an individual. How is your health in the last month? Is your blood sugar spiking? There must be a reason. Are you exercising? Are you eating right? So they will actually get in touch with you before you actually require that you go to a hospital to see a doctor. So this is some of the ways that the government entities are changing of the way that they operate. So this is the first demo that they have, and actually they are launching it a little bit later this year. The first device is a pod that can be available in public spaces. The other device, something that you can buy and keep at home, that you can actually, for the elder people, to check it and know more about their health conditions. How many of you have heard about the smart tunnel in Dubai airport? So a few years ago when we launched this, the project was, in the past, you used to come to the passport control, you had to show your passport. Then they've created a card that will substitute your passport. But now, we're able to create devices that actually was built 100% in Dubai and actually can recognize you as you walk through. So this is tapping into the technology of biometrics to understand how we can actually recognize faces before they even check into their airplanes. The device will be able to recognize your face. It will actually match it to your airplane reservation. It will actually match it to your Emirates ID, and it will check if you can actually allow to go through the tunnel. Can you imagine the time being saved by having such device? So I think some of the things that I like to say is that most of the passport control officers have been into really quite hard training to be able to be a lieutenant or a different thing. They've been into so many different camps to be able to qualify. And I think the last thing he wants to do is just keep stamping passports and just to check on your ID. So this is a better utilization for the people that we have today within the airports. Such devices actually really enhances the operation within the airport and the passport control. In the past years as well, Dubai Water and Electricity Authority within the last 30 years have been actually desalinating water for drinking using natural resources such as gas and oil. Can you see what's wrong with this one? It's very expensive to use energy from gas and oil. It's very expensive, but also bad for the environment. So the city actually wanted to do something quite different. They've invested quite heavily in solar power, and they asked themselves, how can we actually use the solar power to be able to create water for drinking and for home use? And they worked through the program through the Dubai Future Accelerators, and we connected them with a company from the UK who were able to actually just recently pass their 4th demo in order for them to create water from that energy. So this is quite sustainable to the city as well. You can imagine when I talk or when I give an example about any company, you can imagine right away that a lot of the knowledge actually did not come from the region. We had to actually bring that knowledge into the city in order to work very closely with our government entities. If we only wanted to work with companies from Dubai or from UAE, we are limiting, or we're putting a ceiling on the type of innovation that we do. So the team, I have the team here. Actually, they came to support me today. So we have Sherry, Karen, Shemma. So this, I think that's all I see. Can you please stand up? I know it's embarrassing, but can you stand up? So the team actually was able in the last 2 years. So all you see on the screen here today, it's only happened in the last 2 years. The team have been working very strongly in creating the right network by being able to connect to all the different cities around the world. So we're talking to government departments around the globe. We're talking to Innovation Hub. We're talking to Trade Association to be able to identify the best companies from everywhere in the world to come to Dubai and help us really change the way that we do things. And the team have done an amazing job by helping the government entities change the way that they do their businesses. We can obviously, I see that we have 1 minute, but we can keep going about the different examples that we do within the Future Accelerators. But I think what is quite exciting for us is that by the time we launched the project, we had 191 companies come to Dubai, 68% of them have signed an MOU with the government entity to start working on the proof of concept going forward. We've invited over the companies that came across from different parts of the world. 27 of them is from different countries outside of UAE. 36 actually from UAE itself. So we're not only limiting innovation for companies outside the country, but also asking the companies within UAE to actually bring something new to the table. So all this work that we do is really to provide the city with the new services, with different kind of services, that something really touches on the innovation. Something that we can actually learn from all the companies that come to Dubai and work with them very closely. Our government entities have actually started creating future teams who sit with us in the Future Accelerator and work very closely with those companies. So you can imagine the kind of knowledge that they're being shared at the same time. So we're not only benefiting the companies coming to Dubai, but we're also benefiting the government departments and the teams who are working very closely to them. So by this and seeing all the innovation that we've seen today on these slides, really we would like to welcome you to the future going forward. Thank you so much. If you have any Q&A. Yeah, sorry.
أغلبك بدقيقة ممكن تميز لنا بين مسرعات دبي وبين مسرعات الحكومية؟
Okay.
شكرا.
So the question was, how are you guys differentiating between the Dubai Future Accelerator and the UAE Government Accelerator? The difference is very simple, and it's in the name as well. The Dubai Future Accelerator tend to work exclusively with the Dubai local government. The Government Accelerator works with the federal government accelerators. They tend to focus more onto the processes that they do between the different government entities, while we try to focus on technology to enhance our operation. So I'll give you an example. As a government service today, if you have a new child, if you have a newborn, you'll have to go to the local hospital to issue the proper documentation. But in order for you to issue him a passport, you have to go to a federal agency. In the past, that used to take, I think, 2 to 3 days. But now, actually, that happens instantly, the minute. So it's aligning the processes between the different government departments to be able to operate differently. On Dubai Future Accelerator, we work with the local government to use technology to enhance the way they operate. So تفضل study.
الله يعطيك العافية مية ضامن.
الله يسلمك.
لو سمحت بس how do you link between the entities, government entities, into one strategic way as a platform, one platform?
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, how do you link between the government entity in one model, like future foundations?
How do we bring him?
Yes. How?
Okay.
The strategic. The strategy.
So how do we align with their strategies? Okay. So I think each government entity is actually quite active in their own strategies. They know their business better than anybody of us, right? We work very closely in creating different workshops with those government entities to be able to align with them and start thinking about what could be the next challenge for them. So the Dubai Future Accelerator, actually, it's being split to happen twice a year. Every time we launch the project or we launch the Dubai Future Accelerator, it takes 9 weeks. Within these 9 weeks, we actually invite multiple companies to come and sit with the government entities to be able to solve for their challenges. But prior to inviting these companies, we work very closely with the government entities to identify what the challenge would be. Some of them will be the challenge around transportation. Some of them will be the challenge of how can we use, for example, blockchain to be able to ease up the way that we conduct our financial services. So once we identify those challenges, it allows us to work with them very closely into inviting those companies to be who are go through a very rigid process into screening them and selecting them to come and work with the government entities.
As for the government entities, do you actually solve current problems or challenges, or do you solve futuristic challenges?
What the government entities are doing, actually, they're utilizing the technology, the new technologies that are available to them to solve for future problems, not only current problems. And I think they will never know what the future would be right? They will never know what the future problem would be. So, but they know what the issues today are. So they're creating solutions for what the problems today are to ease up the process for the future. So you have to look at it from that way. I think we're okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.